All right, we're opening up our conclusion. What, man? We're doing it live. What are you talking about?
All right, we're in this.
All right. Kirby's message was assume nothing.
Assume nothing. I think he had a few messages, but that was a big one that you could hear echoed throughout Michael Williams and Malachi Starks. And when you hear the players say it, then you know he's saying it a lot. Talked about how I think there was a lot of talk earlier in the week about this is revenge for Georgia.
Yeah,
There's motivation.
said
It was
that?
Peter Burns.
Oh, Peter
Burns was saying that. He's got a lot to say about Georgia. Usually.
That's not new.
So, but obviously 23 doesn't end in a perfect way. It's a pretty good way, beating the snot out of Florida State by 60 points. But
Greg Sankey had something to say about
yeah, he did. He brought that up too. But assume nothing, and they want to recreate themselves this year. Kind of harping on something that he's talked about for years, saying that each season's independent of another. So
yeah, I mean, what about this season is similar to the 21 season? Heading into it, nothing.
Nothing. It feels like there's a lot of NFL talent, but that's been the case every single year the last few years. It may be the output of what they pour into the NFL in this coming off season rivals the 2021 team, but it's not. They don't have the defense that they had in 2021. We know that just knowing the personnel. It's now the offense that is getting the attention as a potential juggernaut.
They're going to be very good. I spent the whole day today. Carson just walked by, so did Mikkel. I spent the whole day today talking with Carson, following him from station to station like a puppy. I thought he actually handled the. You were not there for this, but in my undisclosed location, he actually I think handled the questions about driving better than anybody else. And I know, like the one thing he said is, I don't drive like an idiot. So that was easy for me to remember, but that's not the takeaway I took from it when he was standing talking. He was talking about, the way he handled that question, I don't recall it off the top of my head, I felt was better than Kirby, better than everybody else. So the change.
And he's a person that has attention on his vehicle, right?
That was the whole thing. I said, Carson, are you a one spot guy or a 2-spot guy? And he gave me this answer. If he's at the facility, he's a 1-spot guy. That is really selfish to those of us who are shopping in the grocery store or wherever Carson goes. I mean, I wanted to get into his logistics of parking downtown. Could you imagine him pulling up the red zone in that thing? Like,
it's noticeable.
It's very noticeable.
There aren't that many Lamborghinis in Athens, so
no. And I don't as you know, don't care about cars, so I don't understand it. But he corrected. Someone said, I think Chip said, "Hey, I know you like fast cars." He said, "No, I like cars. My car just goes fast."
I remember that.
Yeah.
My car just goes fast.
Which my car can go fast too. It just can't go as fast as a Lamborghini. Look, I think they're coming in this saying Georgia has a way that they do this now. That Kirby talks for 10 or 15 minutes of his allotted time, which is 25 to 30 minutes with the media. And he talks about traveling, for baseball and all this stuff. Then he talks about whatever issues there have been or may have been or not. And then he sets the agenda, and then he takes questions for 10 minutes, and that's it. The guys had a similar experience, it seemed like to me today. I don't know what you get out of these necessarily, media days. This is, I think, my 22nd because we didn't have it during COVID. And my suspicion is they're the best team in the league. I don't know how. I mean, I heard Greg McElroy the other day talk about how people are overlooking that they have a hard road schedule. Dude, no, they're not. Like, that is the talking
point. That's a big topic.
That is the question. I mean, you're going to Alabama, you're going to Ole Miss, you're going to Texas. Those are. I mean, they very well could lose all 3 of those games.
They could, and that. Losing all 3 of those games might be what buries them this season. That would, but it's hard to see a team as talented and as good as we know it to be and what we think it's going to be this year, losing 3 games. I mean,
well, the funny thing was Carson was like, "Yeah, but we start with Clemson,"
And Kirby said the same thing in the big room today. He said when someone talked about the road schedule, he's like, "You're forgetting that we have to play Clemson." Florida's not a home game either, so that's an emotional one as well.
It's very emotional. Carson described that as his favorite game. Carson really, there was a lot. I'm not sure I learned a lot. He confirmed a lot of that. I'll have a very extended story about Carson Beck in the coming weeks, but it's going to rely a lot on how he performs. But you had two guys here with him today who could go in front of him in the NFL draft. At least one of them, I would say, which is Malachi. Not Malachi, Mikel Williams.
Yeah, I think if one of them would go ahead of him, it would be Mikel, just because of the positional value at the next level.
But they are all three very possibly first-round
potential first-round guys, and we've been talking about definitely Malachi and Mikel over the last few years. That's been the conversation the entire time, right? That these are probably 3 years.
Were you at Malachi's
signing?
Yes.
Yep,
or
I was.
Whatever it's called now.
The ceremony thing where he picks the hat. Yes, I was there. That was the first time I met him, I think.
Yeah.
But
that, when you a trio like that coming to media days is an indicator of what you've got. It's not, everything, but I don't know, man. I mean, part of me right now, my vibe is very tired because of getting in so late and kind of the struggle to get to downtown Dallas, but and getting up so early for all the responsibilities here. But I really would have preferred talking more about Georgia and not the traffic infractions or the DUI. The notion that the traffic violations are not serious is ridiculous. They're very serious. People can get hurt.
No, not people. Yes, people can get hurt. People have gotten hurt.
People have gotten hurt. And that's one thing that Carson said. Now I remember better. He talked about that. And, as a person who's lost friends close to me when I was little, that's really very damaging because you can't talk to that person anymore. You don't know what it's traumatic. And for guys who are that young, it's even worse. Everybody's looking at us because they're going to the bathroom. We're positioned right by the bathroom.
Popular.
Popular destination.
We're in a high traffic road.
Maybe they're coming to see Riding Home. I don't know. But this is a very, very good team. And there are some specific things that are popping up with this Georgia team that may or may not matter in the future. He's right, Kirby, with the whole assume nothing. He's correct about that. But he is having to dig through the bag of motivational speaking these days.
I kind of think the assume nothing, whatever you want to call it, slogan mantra, it's not that different than what it was last year with fighting complacency. What is everyone assuming with Georgia? How good they are, how far they're going to get, how many games they're going to win. And they're probably going to do most of those things, if not all of those things. But I think that it's very much along the lines of the message last year about not being complacent and just kind of giving up because of how good they've been. Assume nothing is kind of an extension of that.
This is as challenging a schedule as they've ever had in their history. And it may well be their most challenging schedule ever.
I don't know how it gets much harder than that.
Well, I mean, very specifically, Clemson at the beginning is the part that people are skipping over because Georgia's a 2-touchdown favorite. I will add, too, that Tech will not – I would be completely floored if they beat Georgia. But they are way better than they have been.
Yes.
They are not late 90s Tech.
They are more competitive than they were just 2 years ago.
Correct. Brent Key's done a very good job. So – all of that added up. Nevertheless, Tennessee, Auburn, this is totally talking season. I get it, but what is there to say about this team right now? Where are we at with them? I mean, how are they? We both seem like very. I don't know. Blah is the best word, but
not running on a lot of sleep. We got stuff going on, but. We're just kind of at a point with this team where, and this is every off season. I'm just angsty. I want the season to start. It's talking season. They literally call it talking season, and this is the event of talking season. So
it is.
It's the marquee event of that, and we're at a point where it is a little bit different for Georgia. They are being penciled in to do all of these things.
Yeah.
That is why Kirby feels like he has to say assume nothing. Feels like
that's a great. What happens if Carson gets hurt in the first game? That happened with JT Daniels, that happened with.
And they figured it out.
Jacob Eason in game 1 of a 17 season. You just don't ever know when something can change.
And both of those seasons, they played in the national championship game.
Yeah.
So
You never know what's going to happen. That's the problem.
you don't, and that's the difference. Georgia, it's why why is there so much confidence? They just have so many good players. They have more good players than every other team out there.
The other problem with days like today, and this is inside baseball, there's so much data that's thrown at you. I mean,
Interview here, interview in this room, this person there.
Yeah, and there were a lot of great things that were said. And the other thing too, I mean, I know Nick is here, and he was in the back. I didn't realize Nick was in the back. The way the layout here, this is the first time we've been in Dallas.
Saban.
Nick Saban, sorry.
I thought you were talking about Nick Chubb for a second.
He's busy beasting in the weight room right now.
Back up to 600 squat.
Don't worry about Nick's Chubb. Although I bet Nick Saban could do fine on a workout routine. Now, with that all said, what's hard to put into perspective here is there's so much data, and you're just sort of you're trying to drink, but it's by water hose. I mean, it's impossible, and a fire hose, excuse me. And it's a lot.
Look, it's ongoing right now. Like
Yeah.
it's happening all around
Literally
us. Like
in
through the
front of us.
walls that we're looking through. There's players and coaches being interviewed. It's
Greg Sankey's
Yeah,
right
Greg
there.
Sankey's right
Paul
there.
Feinbaum just
all the
walked
characters
by.
have walked through.
It's because we're by the.
Maybe
I'm
we
just
should have had
saying-
a multi-camera.
We
view
should
for
have
this.
turned around and have the bathroom in the
should-
background. Let me tell you my very quick media days bathroom story. It involves Ed Orgeron, and it ends well, thankfully. Ed Orgeron is a really big person. Like, I'm a big person. Ed Orgeron is bigger than I am, and
Is he taller? Is he tall too?
I think he's taller than I am. So he's probably
Oh,
a
so
good
he's
6'6", kind of
Oh man,
solid 280.
I didn't realize that he was that tall.
He's a tall person as well, and I mean, you see his chest. My chest is not like that. Clear, it has never been like that. But the bathrooms in Birmingham were such a disaster zone. You'd have to go in. I mean, Ed Orgeron pulled up right next to me at the urinal, which is like there's bro code. I feel like you.
Oh no,
If there's
people
spots,
are not following those rules.
yeah, we
here,
gotta
by
follow the
way.
rules,
And I don't
guys.
know. I thought that you guys did it differently. You guys do it differently in Texas, maybe with the urinals.
Were they right on top of you?
It's just no one's following the
Etiquette?
rules, the etiquette.
Yeah.
You could draw it out.
If there's
We could
open spots,
that's,
go to
that's
the
a whole
open
15-minute video in itself.
Well, but here's the thing. Don't pull up next to me if there's open
there's
spots.
an open spot,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Easy Ed and I are in the bathroom. He pulls up.
Could be a power move.
It probably was.
Could be a
This is
power
while he was at Ole Miss, by the way. This was in.
You think you're tall? No.
But that bathroom had two urinals. No, it had 3 urinals because he pulled up next to me, and it had 2 stalls. And that bathroom was as funky as it could possibly ever be. And Ed Orgeron was ready to compete at any moment, pulling up right next to me on that. And, hey, big fella. He called me big fella.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that is the extent of my Ed Orgeron story. Media days always knocks me out. I like it better than I used to. I'm excited for this one. This one's over for us in many ways. I think the assume nothing is a great motto. I wish that we could just come here and talk about not the traffic stuff, but guys have to take responsibility for that. But anyway, I'm gonna throw it to you for you to wrap it.
Yeah. Look, it's not much different than the last few media days. It feels very much the same. Kirby is a little more relaxed in this environment.
That's
Takes
true.
a few minutes to talk about his family. I thought that he talked less about Carson and Michael and Malachi than he has talked about players in years past. He usually will take a few minutes to
Was
kind of tell
Stetson
stories
here?
about them. Stetson was here in Atlanta 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah, that's
Stetson, Nolan Smith, and Cedric Van Pran for the first time because he did it twice in a row. But I think that they feel the same way as us, just ready to get after it. You can see it in Michael Williams' eyes. I mean, the way he's answering those
It's
questions.
an important season for him.
It's Michael Williams was not in a way that he's being media trained, answering the questions short and concise, which happens a lot, and they will. They don't give good answers all the time.
No, they don't.
But today it was
very
more so. That's literally all he had to say about that. It was just short to the point. Like, all I care about is winning that game. All I care about is this. Like it. He seemed locked in.
Malachi. I mean,
Michael Williams. Yeah.
keep doing that. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching.